Good morning. Good morning. I have a good topic for you guys today. So just share this live with your friends, your family, uncles, aunties, parents. Tune in because I've got a good topic for you guys today. A topic that I get asked frequently and a topic that causes a lot of confusion. So I'm just going to wait a couple more seconds, allow people to tune in, share this video. With everyone, just so that they don't miss this, and hopefully I can put some end to some confusion. And also, while I'm going through the live, feel free to ask questions in the comment box. I'll try to get everyone's question. Okay, so let me start by introducing myself. My name is Ayesha Chidolue. I'm an immigration attorney. I'm also a trademark attorney, but this live is about immigration. I represent clients all over the United States with family immigration matters, so your location doesn't really matter. Immigration is a federal law, so we take cases all over the United States. My number is on Facebook, 407-995-6567. On Instagram, you can find my number in my profile, so feel free to call. So today, what I want to talk about is who can sponsor who to become a green card holder and what are the differences. So there are two types of sponsorship. So there is a person that's going to sponsor you who's called the petitioner. That's the person who's a U.S. citizen or the green card holder. And there's also another aspect that is called a financial sponsor. So let's talk about the first aspect, which is who can sponsor who. So in sponsorship, you want to think about it like this. There are two categories. You're either an immediate family member or you are what they call a family preference category. And so I'm going to explain the two to you guys. So an immediate family member is basically the child. When I say child, I mean anybody under 21. Okay, the child of a U.S. citizen would be an immediate family member. The spouse of a U.S. citizen would be an immediate family member. The parent of a U.S. citizen. These are all immediate family members and considered immediate relatives. It is critical that you understand the difference between this and the next category I'm about to talk about, because it makes a difference in what your status has to be here in the United States in order for them to file for you. So if you fall under that category and you're the spouse, the parent, or the child of a U.S. citizen, you're considered an immediate relative. And what benefits do you get as an immediate relative? It means that you're exempt from going back to your home country to, consular process and get your green card if you overstayed in the United States. So that's one of the few times where they'll forgive you for overstaying, where you can stay here. Okay, and do your adjustment. And that's also one of the few times where even if you worked, even though you're technically not supposed to, that you will get that forgiveness. Now, the second category that I'm about to talk about is broken down into a few little pieces, 4 categories. It's called the family preference category. So let me say that again. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm seeing all your questions and I'm definitely gonna, get into all of them. So the family preference category are basically for people, sorry guys, my computer is beeping so much. I hope it's not distracting you guys. So the family preference category is basically for either children who have become sons and daughters. So you're no longer a child. You're now considered a son and a daughter because you're over 21. It's also for green card holders. So let's break it down. So the first category would be for U.S. citizens whose children are no longer children and are now over 21, and so they're considered sons and daughters of U.S. citizen. Then the second category, and so usually with that one, with everybody that I'm going to list here on a family preference, usually visas are not immediately available. And that is why on a normal basis, you cannot adjust your status here because by the time a visa becomes available, usually you're an overstay here. Remember what I said the first time, if you're an overstay, the only time that you're forgiven for overstaying and they allow you to become a green card holder without leaving America is if you're in the immediate category. So let's go back. So then there's another category called F2. F2 is broken down into two. The first category is for green card holders, their spouses and their children. Remember, children is under the age of 21. The second category, 2B, is for children that are now sons and daughters, so over 21. Right now, this is an anomaly. It doesn't happen often. But right now, if you're the spouse of a green card holder or you are a child under 21, the visas are actually current. And what does that mean? It means that there are visas available and that if you're in status right now, you actually can adjust your status and apply right now, but you must be in status to apply. Okay, so that's that one. And then, of course, the third category, F3, which is going to be for the married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. And the last one, which takes the longest time for visas to be available, is for U.S. citizens filing for their siblings. So if you're a green card holder, you cannot file for your sibling. If you're a green card holder, you cannot file for your parents. So those are two exceptions. Green card holders can only file for their children or their spouse. U.S. citizens are the only ones that can file for their parents and their siblings. So I know I've just said a lot, so hopefully it's not too confusing for you guys. So that is one type of sponsorship. So those are the people that can sponsor the different categories or classes that I just mentioned. Now I'm going to get into the second type of sponsorship that, I wanted to talk about, which is a financial sponsor. So every time you submit a petition, for somebody, usually you have to show that you can support the person financially. You're required to present a financial affidavit of support. Okay, so the financial affidavit of support is basically saying I make X amount of money and I'm responsible for this person, for the next 10 years or whatever, is so that they won't become public charges or they won't go seek public benefits, because if they do, the government can come after you for that. So there's an income requirement. So I can't list the entire income requirement because it's a long income requirement, but the income is dependent on how many people you have in your family and that you claim on your taxes. So, if you have so let me use two simple examples. So if you're doing like a marriage-based case and you guys don't have any kids, you're a single person, you'll be considered a family of two, and the family will consist of you and your spouse. So typically for that, you would need to show that you meet 125% past the poverty guideline for a family of two. Now, if you have one child that you claim and you're filing for your spouse, then you'll be considered a family of three, you, your child, and your spouse, okay? And you will have to meet 125% past the family of three guidelines. So for each family size, it keeps increasing and increasing. So those are the two types of sponsorships that exist. You must have the petitioner that's sponsoring you, and you must have who's going to be doing it financially. Now, if the person petitioning for you does not meet the income requirement, you can get a joint sponsor. But your joint sponsor must be a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent residence. What is a legal permanent residence? A green card holder, a 10-year green card holder. And as long as they meet the requirement, then they can become joint sponsors for you. So that's that. I'm going to take some questions. Put your comment in the box. Let me say hi to people. Good morning, Favor Carrie. Nice to have you here. Good morning, Tamara. Tarisha asked, how do I set up an appointment for a consultation? Please give us a call, 407-995-6567. They'll be happy to set up an appointment for you. Also, the number is, scrolling through the ticker on Facebook, on Instagram. Again, once you jump off Instagram, it's right there in my profile. Nadia says, you're doing a really great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh, you guys are making me feel so special today. Thank you, Honda. Says, thank you, beautiful, for all the great work. Thanks so much. So let's see what this person says. So I have a question here. So Kamala says, my daughter filed for me. I'm here in the States. She started the filing with her address, but I don't live with her. Is that a problem on the I-944? No, it's not a problem if she's your daughter. Like, where we are concerned about cohabitation is if you're a husband and a wife, okay? So that's fine. Good morning, Petrolana. Good morning, Rochelle. So this person is asking, my question is, my husband didn't file taxes and he wants to file for me. Can we use a co-sponsor? And he's on child support. What can we do? So for you, I think your name is Oluwaseun on Facebook. What needs to happen? I'm sorry, my brother always distracts me on Instagram live. Thank you, Obi. What you need to do, well, the first thing we question is, why didn't your husband file for taxes? Was it because he wasn't unemployed or he didn't make any money at all? Or he didn't meet the requirement to file taxes based on what he made? Because you do, even if you can use a joint sponsor, they still want to know the reason why your husband didn't file taxes, and it has to make sense. If it's because he's maybe trying to avoid child support, but his W-2 shows that he makes more money, that could be a problem. So that's the first question. Obviously, yours is a bit more detailed, and I don't want to get into your personal information. So call my office, schedule a consult, and then you can explain it to me. You don't have to type it in there. Just explain what's going on to me, and then we'll see what options are available to you. Okay. Okay. So this person says, Petronel says, I was in an abusive marriage and I got divorced after 3.5 what? Like 3.5 years? Can I still get my 10-year green card? I already put it in. So your question is very vague. What did you put in? Like, when did you get divorced? So all those things change. Like, are you a 2-year conditional green card holder? Do you not have a green card? So there's so many variables to this. So depending on what the answers to those are, I'll be able to answer you. Mahmoud Dawala says, hi, teacher. Hi, Mahmoud. Thank you for always liking all my posts. He's such a super fan, and I appreciate it. Kosi says, Asante Sana for the information. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Armando Davis says, she's very good, y'all. I'm working with her and I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you so much, Armando. So somebody says, I want to know which visa is available. So Collins, what I just said is, if you're an immediate relative, visa is always available, which is why we can apply for everything at the same time. It's only if you're in a family preference category that you kind of have to wait your turn for a visa to be available. The only visa that's available right now is for spouses and children of green card holders. Remember, children is under 61. Let's see some of the questions in on Instagram. Okay, let's see. Oh, you guys. Oh, thank you so much. Someone says they love my bow. Thank you. It's very cold here today in Florida. I don't know if some of you guys are in the East Coast, in New York, New Jersey, Maryland. I saw how crazy the snow was. My kids want snow so bad. I'm like, trust me, you don't. Let's see what else I have here. Someone said, can you, this person asked a good question. Can you self-sponsor? So there are limited exceptions when you can self-petition yourself. Those limited exceptions include if you are a victim of extreme cruelty, right, or battery from your U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse, or you are a victim of the same from your U.S. citizen child, or from your U.S. citizen or green card holder parent. You see what I said? For the child, it has to be a U.S. If it's your child that's doing it, your child has to be a U.S. citizen. But if it's your parent, it can be a green card holder or U.S. citizen. And if it's your spouse, it can be a green card holder or U.S. citizen. There are other times you can also self-petition, based on a T visa or U visa. Those are really long process. You have to be willing to work with, law enforcement for those. But generally, with vow self-petition, you don't have to. Okay. So let's see. Someone says, do you have to be in status for the person to sponsor you financially, or does it have to be a family member? So it doesn't have to be a family member that can sponsor you. That can sponsor you. It could also be a friend, as long as they're legal permanent residents or they're green card holders. And your in status has a lot to do with if you who's sponsoring you. If it's your husband and he's a U.S. citizen, it doesn't matter whether you're not in status or out of status, as long as you came into the country with a visa. So that's the exception. Okay. If you came into the country by either, you came through the border or undocumented, then things are a bit different. Things get a bit iffy. And one of the exceptions or exemptions for that is if you qualify for VAWA, or if you're a crewman as well. If you're a crewman, then you're technically not in status. So, but those times there's an exemption if you qualify for a VAWA self-petition. Wow. So Tanique says she has an interview in 2 weeks and her husband is nowhere to be found. What do I do? That's terrible. I'm sorry about that. But you have different options. But, I need to be able to speak to you to understand why your husband is nowhere to be found. Are there issues in your marriage? Is your husband extremely cruel to you? Is he causing you emotional stress, psychological stress? Because, if those things are happening, then you have an option. One of the things we can do is we can request for certain things with the immigration officer based on that to allow us to prepare a different petition for you. So call me, 407-995-6567. Somebody on Instagram says, are the embassies outside the U.S. still closed? Honestly, there's so many embassies in the world, so I can't tell you every single one of them who's open or not. But basically, it is... there are very limited openings, and if some people are opened for immediate family members, they're basically doing it in little, increments. Hopefully things will, stabilize soon, but, it's very country specific. So it's hard to tell you without me checking that consulate, embassy to see, what's available. Someone says, can a U.S. citizen with a felony sponsor his wife in another country? So, the answer is that it depends, so generally, the person that they're looking at their crime and, any crime of moral turpitude as the immigrant who needs the petition, who needs the green card. However, if your U.S. citizen's felony is related to child abuse, pedophilia, usually it's not a good option for you, and you could probably get denied based on that. So this person says, Fato and Facebook says, hi, good morning. I want to file for my husband to be, but he was here for more than 15 years. He'll be going back to my home country. I'm an asylee with a green card. Well, congratulations on having a green card. For your husband, what's going to need to happen is you can do the first part of his sponsorship, which is I-130. Once that's approved, then, you can then do a waiver, a waiver to forgive the time that he's overstayed here. When the waiver is approved, they will then schedule the consulate and everything else that needs to happen in his home country. But he should not technically leave the country if he has the waiver pending until it's approved and they're ready to schedule him. You want to make sure he's approved for that waiver of forgiveness. Usually for you to be eligible for the waiver, in a situation like yours, you have to have a qualifying relative, which is either your parent or your spouse that's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, so you could act as that for him. Somebody on Instagram says, can someone with a B2 visa extend their stay in the U.S. if they had a baby in the U.S. and need more time to get the baby's passport to leave? So you can extend your stay, but it's up to the discretion of USCIS to determine whether they're approving you or not based on your reason, So, I can't make the decision on whether they're going to approve you or not. But generally, most people can attempt to extend their stay if they have a legitimate reason as far as what they consider legitimate. So, there's that. Let's see. I'm so sorry if I'm missing your comments. I'm trying to go through. Okay, so somebody says, good morning. Andy says, good morning. I just got married with my U.S. citizen husband. Congratulations. But we haven't put in any paperwork yet. I'm working as a caregiver. Can I change the status of my W-4 at my job? And is it good to have my name on another apartment besides the one I'm staying with my husband? Well, why is your name on another apartment? That's the first question. If you're married, you should be, if you're married, you should be living with your spouse, unless, well, let me put it this way. Some people choose not to live with their spouse, but that's their own personal business. But if you're trying to get a green card, you want to make sure that you do not give immigration any opportunity to question or second guess the legitimacy of your marriage. One of the biggest signs of questioning the legitimacy of your marriage is if you're not living together. So usually when they're looking at people not living, so it's not that it's a requirement that you have to live together, but you need to show extenuating circumstance. Your husband has some kind of like profession that's just so unique that maybe he's in a different place and that he has to be, you can't get there or he can't get there. But otherwise, you're setting yourself up for laser focusing and nitpicking on your application. So please live together if you can. And of course, if you're married, you can definitely update your status, that you're married. Somebody said, can a friend sponsor? I feel like this question was asked already. So rewatch this video tomorrow. I think I answered this question of who can sponsor you. Sponsor, this is for financial sponsorship. Financial sponsorship has to, can be either a family member or a friend, as long as you're legal permanent residents or as long as you're U.S. citizens. Let me take some questions on Instagram real quick. So does the child or children that don't belong to the U.S. citizen spouse go on the VAWA interview to get their green card as well? So, Ever Blessed on Instagram, your question depends on where the child is. So the interview is really for the parent that is filing the VAWA. The only time that the child is brought into question is if the child is the one filing VAWA. So for example, if you're filing a VAWA petition and your children are outside of the United States, when they approve the VAWA portion of your application, your children will be approved as derivatives as well. If you're in the United States and your child is the one filing the VAWA, it depends on how old the child is. But really it's you, the parent, that is going to be questioned about your relationship, with your spouse. So Rochelle says, what if I don't have any assets together and we're just starting to do things together like joint account? Is that a problem for the I-944? So remember, the I-944 is not for you and your spouse. The I-944 is for you, the person who doesn't have papers, to show that you are self-sufficient. You can add your husband's asset as a way to show that you have more money. This is Rochelle I'm talking to. But the I-944 is for you. Now, assets as a whole, when you're putting together a marriage petition, try and acquire and accumulate what you can. Obviously, sometimes you're newlyweds and there's not enough time to acquire stuff, but you also have time before your interview to show other proof of a bona fide relationship. So when you submit your petition, you're going to have time between submission and a request for additional evidence. Between that time, any new thing that you have, you submit. Between that time, let's say you now get scheduled for an interview 12 months later or whatever, get some more stuff, because at that point they expect that, time has passed and you've had the opportunity to get stuff. And remember, assets doesn't have to necessarily be, you don't only need financial stuff to show you have a bona fide relationship. There's so many things that you can use to show you have a bona fide relationship, health insurance, life insurance, car insurance, having him on your cell phone bill, having her on your cell phone bill, your lease, your utility bills, power of attorney, living will, on all those different things. These are just different examples of things that you can use. Joint accounts. If you have a joint account, make sure it's not a joint account that's just dormant. Make sure you're actually using it to pay you guys bills, and to shop and spend, and stuff like that. Yeah, Favor Carey says, the snowstorm here is crazy. Yes, it's crazy in New York. I saw it. I saw it in pictures. My family lives in New York and New Jersey, so they've been updating me on what's going on. Somebody asked on Instagram, how long does it take to get a work permit? I applied for an extension of my work permit in December, and I'm yet to receive a receipt from USCIS. Yeah, it's been extraordinarily delayed. A lot of the delays due to COVID, so there's a backlog. They actually sent us, USCIS actually sent us practitioners an email the other day, like 2 weeks ago, saying basically that they're running behind on receipts, but they have still received those applications. It's just a matter of time. So, hopefully you get it sooner or later, but between December and just first week in February, that's not a long time, to be honest with you. Okay, let's see. What other questions do you guys have? Someone said, do you have to be in status for your siblings to file for you? Oh, yes, you do. You need to be in status for your siblings to file for you. And the timeline that it takes changes every month. Right now we're looking at about, I want to say it's like 14 years. Like about 14 years is what we're looking at. This may change, so it usually varies every month between 14 to 16 years. But yes, you do have to be in status, for them to file for you. Otherwise, you're better off just, staying in your home country while your citizen, sibling files for you. Somebody says, what happens when my spouse doesn't earn up to $25,000 annually? What's the way out? Ololade on Facebook, I'm not really sure what that question means because that's very vague. If it's just you and your spouse filing, your spouse only needs to meet 21,500. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think that's the amount. So you're still well within that amount. Now, if you're a family of 3 and you have to meet 27,500 and up, then you need a co-sponsor. Another thing that you can also do is, let's say you're on the cusp. And, when I say cusp, I mean that you're so close that you're wondering if it's going to be a problem, like between the number that's required to find for your spouse to sponsor you. Another thing you can do is calculate the assets that you guys have. So maybe how much do you guys have in your bank account? How much do you have in savings? How much you have in stocks and investment? Basically anything that you can convert to cash within a year, you can count all of them together as your assets to increase the value of your stuff. And then if you yourself, the immigrant, has assets to sponsor, to add to your own sponsorship from a financial standpoint, you can also add that. Somebody says, can I apply for InfoPass if I didn't receive the 18 months extension letter? I'm a 2-year green card holder. It depends. So what is the reason why you've not received it? Is it based on the delay? Because I know with conditional green cards, there's a delay. They're taking about 8 to 10 weeks for the receipts to come in. So if that's you, you can just wait till then. Another thing you can do is you can just call and just see, if they received your packet and they can send you your receipt. I don't know that they will give you one without any kind of receipt to show that you filed it or anything like that. Usually, we send to InfoPass if the 18 months is expired and your case is still pending. Somebody says, can you get a tax ID if you're not working? You can get an ITIN if you plan to work and you need it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, that's the extra evidence they're asking for, and we're married for 19 years and we have a child together. Rochelle, honestly, you would benefit from a consultation. Your questions are just too vague for me to be able to really assess what it is without, I can't give, one, everything here is educational purposes, but if you want legal advice and you want me to actually review your documents, schedule a consult, I'll review what they're asking for, and then I'll be able to tell you, okay, do you have this, and that? This is what they need, okay? Okay, let's see on Instagram. How soon can a green card holder file after marriage? You can file as soon as you want. There's no deadline or timeline. Somebody asked, can you still file a VAWA based on the fact that your husband left the country for over a year and still not planning to come back soon? Yeah. So the likelihood is that you have to qualify for VAWA. One of the things we assess is abandonment and how it affected you emotionally and psychologically. I imagine that most people who are in love and your spouse abandons you for a year on end, it can affect you. So, if you schedule a consult, we dig deeper to see what else is going on. Usually something else is going on with that. And so you potentially could have a case to make based on VAWA. Let's see what else we have on Instagram. I know I'm neglecting Instagram so bad. Sorry, guys. Okay, same question. Okay, so let's see what else we've got here. Someone asked, how long after you do a fingerprint do you get a green card? Well, what is your fingerprint for? So that is such a vague and broad question. What's your fingerprint for? Was it for the 485? Was it for your work permit? Like, what was it for? So it depends on what your petition is. So your green card is determined based on what type of petition you file. Another way for you guys to check yourself to see what the processing time is you can actually Google USCIS processing time. And then if you look on the receipt that you actually get, I think it's usually on the bottom left, it will tell you your processing center. Check your processing center and the kind of form it is, and it will tell you what the average is, timeline to wait. Okay. So Al-Abi says, I returned my employment authorization because there was a mistake on my year of birth. Please, how long does it take to get it back? That's really annoying. It takes a long time, so you just have to wait. I don't know when you sent it back, but, we don't have control over that. It's just whenever they send it back to you, but it could take a couple of months. So let's see. Somebody asked, can a person on disability file for you? The answer is yes, if they are able to financially sponsor you. If they're not able to financially sponsor you, they can always you can always get a joint sponsor that's a legal permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. And then on Instagram, Sweet as Gold to Posh says, how soon can I get a consultation with you? As soon as you want. Call my office, 407-995-6567. I mean, I don't know if I have any availabilities this week or next week, but call the office, they'll schedule you. Okay. Okay, so do you guys have any other questions before I jump off? Let me just make sure that I have covered as many as I can see. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I think I've covered pretty much everything. Thank you guys always for tuning in Wednesdays. Tell your friends and your family. I'm going to be here on Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, somebody else asked me a question. I'm going to answer this last question and then I'm going to jump off. Author says, how long does it take after you file for a marriage-based petition to hear from USCIS? So there are different stages that you hear from USCIS. The first stage is once you file, in a couple of weeks, you get, your filing receipt. So you're going to get your filing receipt for all the different petitions that you filed. So, if you filed for a work permit, a travel authorization, your green card, and your petition for alien relative, you're going to get all 4 receipts. And then, in a couple of weeks, you might get your biometrics, or in a couple of months. Before it used to be a couple of weeks, but, with COVID and things being delayed, it's now in a couple of months. You get your biometrics request. After you get your biometrics, in about 6 months-ish, you get your work permit and your travel authorization, as long as you qualify for those. And then if you don't have a social security number, that usually comes in a couple of weeks, after that, and then they schedule you for an interview. Sometimes, though, you might get scheduled for an interview before you get your work permit. So it just depends. It depends on, your field office, their caseload. Sometimes, I'm sure maybe some of you on here might have seen when you filed a case where you saw that your case was transferred to another center. Sometimes it's because maybe that other center is too full and there's just so much and they need to, move it over to another center so that it can be quick. So that happens. So this is the last question. Last question, guys. No more questions. So this person, Fatal says, my question is, will he be going to my country after filing for him because he overstayed? Fatal, if I remember correctly from above, you're a green card holder. Yes, he would need to go to his home country, or wherever, once they approve the first portion of your application and once he gets approved for his waiver. He does not leave until he gets approved for his waiver, or else it's going to be a problem. Okay. So, and then this person asked about President Biden's reform. Do not wait on President Biden's reform, because I've talked about this last week. If you qualify for something, you better be filing for it, because the reform may never happen. That's number one, because the way laws work, or the way bills work, is that they have to go and pass as law. As I'm sure you guys have seen, how it's been a year battle trying to just get normal stimulus for people who need stimulus check, right? So it could take 2 years, it could take 3 years, it could take 4 years, it could, be obsolete. So if you qualify for something, please file for it and do not wait. When it happens, it'll be wonderful. Trust me, I'm one of the people that will be cheerleading and doing cartwheels, but I don't want you to hold on to something that actually doesn't exist. Think of a bill as an idea that you want, but it has to manifest itself into reality. So, and when bills are introduced, it is dissected, based on what the original bill is, until it becomes something that's acceptable to both parties, depending on how much voting is needed in Congress or in the House. And so that's what takes time, because it's so hard, as I'm sure you've seen in America, well, all over the world, for opposing parties to agree to something. So, I definitely in my heart believe that we're going to see some really positive changes. Oh, one good positive thing that I wanted to mention, but let me finish this. We're going to definitely see some good positive changes, but we don't know when it's going to be. So don't wait if you qualify for something. If you qualify for something, you should be filing right now, because the deportation is not stopping. If you had an NTA and your stuff is pending, those are not stopping. So definitely do that. But the one good news I heard based on yesterday is that one of the things that the president is asking them to do is to reduce cases where, so in the last administration, if you're denied for a basic marriage-based case, basic, cases, they automatically refer you to removal, if you get denied. But now he wants the focus to be on people who are actual felons, or will cause a great risk to society. So that's good news. So, we'll just be watching it though, day by day, and as any news comes, I will definitely update you guys. Kara says, thank you so much for the wonderful work you're doing. Continue to touch and change lives around the world, because today I'm extremely happy. Today I watched you and I found you on Facebook and chose you now, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you as well. We got some good news for you, so yay. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you on Wednesday. Make sure you share this video with your friends. All right, guys, bye.